Alfred Nobel, The Glorious and Humiliating Life of the Father of Dynamics. Alfred Nobel, a brilliant inventor, is remembered in history with contrasting nicknames such as the King of Explosives or the Merchant of Death. These opposing labels arise because he not only invented dynamite, laying the groundwork for remarkable advancements in the mining and construction industries, but also sparked endless debates about the consequences of his invention. However, Nobel's life was not solely defined by these world-altering innovations. He loved literature, possessed a highly poetic soul, and most notably, made a profoundly humanitarian decision by using his vast fortune to establish the Nobel Prize, a prestigious symbol to honor individuals and organizations who have made outstanding contributions to humanity. From an inventor of explosives that sowed destruction, Alfred Nobel left behind a legacy in the form of an award representing peace, knowledge, and hope for a better world. Listeners, please join us in exploring the life, career, and enduring legacy of Alfred Nobel's will. He may have been a man caught amid great contradictions, yet he possessed the ability to create values that endure for humanity. About childhood. Alfred Nobel was born on October 21, 1833, in Stockholm, Sweden. He was the son of Emanuel Nobel, an engineer and inventor. His mother was a young woman born into a wealthy family. The Nobel family belonged to the well-off middle class and were descendants of Olof Rudbeck, one of Sweden's most celebrated technical geniuses of the 17th century. His parents had 4 children. Robert and Ludwig Nobel were the eldest, Alfred Nobel was the third, and Emil Nobel was the youngest. A significant event occurred the year Alfred was born. His father went bankrupt, plunging the family into financial hardship. His business declined, debts piled up, and despite efforts to recover, the situation remained grim. Meanwhile, Alfred Nobel was born a frail child. Seeing his wife and children struggle in hardship, Emanuel Nobel's heart ached, feeling it nearly impossible to rebuild his career in Stockholm. Determined to change his family's fate, Emanuel Nobel decided to seek opportunities abroad to support them. Nobel's mother, Henriette Nobel, stayed behind and opened a modest grocery store to make ends meet. After 5 years away, Emanuel Nobel established a new business in St. Petersburg, Russia. He opened a mechanical workshop supplying equipment to the Russian military, convincing the Tsar and his generals to use naval mines to prevent enemy warships from threatening the city. Emanuel Nobel's designs were primarily simple naval mines, wooden barrels filled with gunpowder placed beneath the surface of the Gulf of Finland. These mines effectively blocked the British Royal Navy from approaching St. Petersburg during the Crimean War from 1853 to 1856. Nobel's father was also a pioneer in weapons manufacturing and steam engine design. Thanks to his business success, Emanuel Nobel quickly became wealthy. He paid off his debts and brought his wife and children to St. Petersburg in 1842. There, he ensured his children received an excellent education from the best tutors, with a curriculum encompassing natural sciences, languages, and literature. From his youth, Alfred Nobel demonstrated exceptional intelligence through his studies. He excelled in subjects like chemistry and physics, and had a particular passion for literature. Due to his frail health, Nobel could not explore outdoors like his siblings, so he spent most of his time indoors reading books. Seeing their son's enthusiasm for learning, Nobel's parents were delighted, especially his father. However, Emanuel Nobel was less pleased with Alfred's love for literature, as he wished for his son to follow in his footsteps and become a chemical engineer. Later, when Nobel's health improved, his father promptly sent him abroad to study. During his 2 years of study overseas, Nobel quickly revealed a scientific mindset and a deep capacity for research. He also traveled through Sweden, Germany, France, and the United States. In Paris, his favorite destination, he worked in the laboratory of Professor T.J. Pelouse, a renowned chemist. There, he also met Ascanio Sobrero, an Italian chemist who had invented nitroglycerin, a key explosive compound, 3 years earlier, when Nobel was about 17 years old. Beyond his research talent, Nobel was fluent in 5 languages: Swedish, Russian, French, English, and German. This linguistic proficiency enabled him to connect with the research community and prominent literary figures of his era. His language skills proved a tremendous advantage, helping him expand his business ventures across many countries later in life. We move to career path. When the Crimean War ended, Emmanuel Nobel's business faced another crisis, once again teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. His 2 elder sons, Robert and Ludwig, remained in Russia to salvage the situation, swiftly turning things around and gradually building a thriving business in southern Russia. Meanwhile, Alfred and his younger brother Emil returned to Sweden with their father to continue forging their careers. In 1863, after his father's business began to recover and the family regained stability, Nobel poured all his energy into researching and developing nitroglycerin into an explosive. However, his experiments triggered a massive explosion, claiming 4 lives. A young chemist who was also Nobel's friend, a janitor, a passerby, and Emil, the youngest sibling in the family. Following this tragic accident, Nobel faced widespread criticism, even curses. Concerned about the safety of explosive experiments, the government banned such activities in Stockholm. Shocked by the death of his youngest son, Emmanuel Nobel fell ill, bedridden, and overwhelmed with grief, constantly tormented by guilt over the deaths of innocent people, especially his own child. Despite his immense suffering, Alfred Nobel refused to let himself collapse. After investigating the cause, he surmised that the explosion occurred because the experimenters failed to regulate the temperature. Nitroglycerin is a highly volatile compound, prone to detonation with even slight mishandling or impact. Understanding this, Nobel's resolve to create a safer explosive grew stronger. Thus, when barred from conducting explosive experiments on land, he decided to move his work to a barge on Lake Mälaren. By 1864, he began mass-producing nitroglycerin, tirelessly experimenting with additives to make the production process safer. Through numerous experiments, both large and small, Nobel discovered that mixing nitroglycerin with fine sand, known as kieselguhr, transformed the liquid into a paste, allowing it to be shaped into much safer explosive rods. His invention was quickly tested in practical applications multiple times. In 1866, shortly thereafter, he received the first patent for his explosive. He named it Dynamite, derived from the Greek word dynamis, meaning power. An important note: although renowned for inventing and refining nitroglycerin, Nobel was not its original discoverer. The explosive potential of nitroglycerin was first identified by Italian chemist Ascanio Sobrero in 1847. Sobrero recognized its power, but expressed doubts and issued repeated warnings about its instability. Nobel, with bold vision and ambition, sought to experiment with nitroglycerin to develop a controllable and safe explosive, investing significant effort into this research. The explosives Nobel created soon became a favored tool in the construction industry. Dynamite was not only a groundbreaking industrial innovation, but also propelled him to become one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs of his time. Thanks to the enormous fortune amassed from his explosives business, Nobel built a manufacturing empire with 90 factories worldwide. He continuously expanded his operations and invested in diverse fields, from synthetic rubber production to artificial silk and various types of explosives with different applications. He resided in Paris, frequently traveling to his factories in over 20 countries. People often called him Europe's wealthiest vagabond. Throughout his career, Nobel secured 355 patents for his inventions across a wide range of industries. His explosive innovations, in particular, brought immense benefits to industry and mining, yet it cannot be denied that they also produced countless negative repercussions. Numerous tragic explosions occurred, claiming countless lives during the transportation and use of explosives supplied by Nobel's company. Many despised Nobel, even branding him the Merchant of Death. To them, he had created a weapon of immense destructive power, responsible for taking millions of innocent lives during World War I and World War II. Indeed, when used in conflicts, explosives became a merciless instrument of death. However, from the perspective of human progress, the invention of explosives was a pivotal step in history. Nobel's explosives significantly contributed to economic development, especially in construction. They enabled the breaking of massive rock formations in large-scale projects, such as the Panama Canal and mountain tunnels, feats that would have taken vast amounts of time and labor if reliant solely on human effort. The advent of explosives rapidly reshaped geographical landscapes, boosted trade, connected regions, and facilitated commercial growth. Additionally, explosives were used in mining, allowing access to valuable resources like gold, coal, and oil. Efficient extraction of these resources supplied raw materials for industry, driving global economic advancement. Thus, through Nobel's inventions and explosives, we see that everything in life has two sides. The greater the benefits, the larger the accompanying consequences. About personal life. The Nobel family was a small but closely knit unit, full of solidarity. Nobel's father and brothers all focused on the explosives business, so although they were not often together, they consistently showed each other love and mutual support. This unity enabled them to overcome all challenges and achieve great successes. From childhood, being a frail and sensitive child, Nobel was closest to his mother. As he grew with his talent and passion for explosives research, he spent more time in the laboratory than anywhere else. Most family members understood the responsibility Nobel bore, so they allowed him to focus wholeheartedly on his work. Their only concern was that, in his fervor for research, he neglected his own well-being. Historical records depict Nobel as a versatile, wealthy, yet solitary researcher. It is speculated that he devoted so much time to his work that he had little left for personal happiness. According to the book Alfred Nobel and his immortal will, Nobel did experience a romance. He met his first love while traveling in France. Little is known about this woman, but she is described as a blonde girl. They met in a park when Nobel spontaneously recited a poem by an English poet. They began meeting and talking, gradually discovering a deep connection between their souls. Their love blossomed quickly. Though neither had confessed their feelings, one afternoon, Nobel felt the world spin when an old man told him the blonde girl had passed away the previous day after their meeting. Heartbroken to his core, he had no one to share his grief with. At night, whenever the pain gnawed at his heart, he recalled her words. In this life, no one is always losing, and no one is always gaining. It's merely a transfer from one thing to another. Thus, we must not lose faith in life's changes, but through each change, we must sow within ourselves the faith and will to nurture noble ideals. These words gave him strength, helping him gradually overcome the pain of losing his first love. Time also aided his recovery, allowing him to refocus on his research. From then on, Nobel dedicated himself solely to advancing his career in explosives and business, with scant information about subsequent romantic relationships. It wasn't until age 43 that he began to feel the weight of aging and expressed a desire to find a wife. He placed an ad in a newspaper. An elderly, wealthy gentleman with a high education seeks a mature, multilingual woman to serve as a secretary and household manager. Coincidentally, an Austrian woman, Countess Bertha Kinsky, met all his criteria. However, their relationship was short-lived, as she soon returned to Austria to marry. Nevertheless, Nobel and Bertha Kinsky became close friends, frequently exchanging letters even after she had her own family. It is known that Countess Bertha Kinsky significantly influenced the peace fund established in Nobel's will after his death. Continuing his solitary journey, Increasingly weary from life's ups and downs, Nobel still devoted time to research and business matters, but grew more reserved and reclusive, retreating into his own world. He owned several homes in his final decades. In 1891, he left Paris for San Remo, Italy, after disputes with the French government, which accused him of subversion. From then on, he no longer cherished Paris as he once had. 4 years later, he purchased the Bofors weapons and iron factory in Sweden and built a nearby house. All his homes became laboratories, or rather, the laboratory was his true home. Throughout his life, Nobel was celebrated for his scientific achievements and business success. Yet he also made significant contributions to the arts. He loved literature and writing, leaving behind a private library of 1,500 volumes across various genres: poetry, classic literature, novels, and even some poetry and plays he wrote but never published. Perhaps when beholding the vast literary collection Nobel left behind, one gains a deeper sense of the complexity and richness of the inner world of this foremost inventor in human history. About legacy. Nobel passed away in San Remo on December 10, 1896. Upon his death, he left a will he had personally written and compiled, astonishing the world. In it, Alfred Nobel decided to dedicate over 90% of his fortune, approximately 31 million Swedish kroner, equivalent to $254,300 at the time, to a prize fund for the community, leaving only a small portion to his family. Per his wishes, this wealth was to honor individuals who made outstanding contributions to humanity in science, literature, and peace. The Nobel Prize is the great legacy of humanity we know today. The prize comprises 5 categories: Nobel Prizes in physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace. The physics, chemistry, and literature prizes are determined by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, the medicine prize by the Nobel Committee of the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, and the peace prize by the Nobel Committee of the Norwegian Parliament. Not everyone was pleased with Nobel's will. It faced opposition from relatives and scrutiny from various governments. It took 5 years for the executors to persuade all parties to honor Nobel's wishes. In 1901, the Nobel Prizes in physics, chemistry, medicine, and literature were first awarded in Stockholm, Sweden, and the Peace Prize in Christiania, now Oslo, Norway. Even today, debates persist about why Alfred Nobel, dubbed the Emperor of Explosives and blamed for many tragic fates, crafted a will to promote peace and honor those who greatly benefited humanity. Perhaps it's time for more objective perspectives on Alfred Nobel. According to various sources, Nobel's initial intent in inventing explosives was not for warfare but for noble purposes. He aimed to create a safer, more effective explosive to enhance construction and industrial work, aiding scientific exploration. However, his invention was swiftly repurposed for military use, beyond his control. Moreover, a closer look reveals that Nobel endured considerable criticism throughout his life for his creations. He experienced many highs and lows, and witnessed the suffering caused by explosives. With a sensitive soul, long concealed within, he was likely tormented by the dual nature of his inventions. Many also believe Countess Bertha Kinsky decisively influenced Nobel's commitment to peace in his final years, including his world-shaking will. Her views on peace inspired him, encouraging his involvement in the peace movement and shaping his thoughts on life's meaning and an inventor's responsibility. She was the first woman to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. In a letter, Nobel informed Countess Bertha Kinsky of his decision, to which she joyfully replied, "Whether I am there or not doesn't matter. What we have given, you and I, will live forever." Perhaps this deep bond opened a new path in Nobel's thinking, transforming him from a great inventor into a peace advocate. Establishing the Nobel Peace Prize was not only Nobel's way of atoning for his inventions, but also his desire to encourage individuals to make further beneficial contributions to humanity, creating a lasting legacy for future generations. Conclusion. Through Nobel's inventions, we see the dual nature of an issue. The invention of explosives was a significant advancement, yet it brought unpredictable consequences. But one thing is undeniable. No one can dismiss Nobel's talent and contributions. The value and legacy he bestowed have reshaped humanity. The Nobel Peace Prize stands as a symbol of hope and the effort to build a better world. It reminds us that scientific progress must align with social responsibility, while inspiring individuals to make more meaningful and noble contributions to society.